I used to walk around car shows with my dad, staring through the windows of old muscle cars. The first thing I'd always look at was the gauge cluster. I really thought that top number was how fast the thing could go, and that little dumb belief somehow made every car feel alive. Now I'm older, and instead of peeking through windows, I'm actually building one. This is my 1967 Mustang Fastback. It's the one I used to dream about, but it actually started as a coupe. But the past couple months have been straight grinding and welding.
And that's exactly what we're doing today, guys. See, there's not many days in Buffalo in November that you get that are sunny. Right now, it is 47 degrees out in Buffalo, and it's November. And to me, 47 degrees is a good day. So know what we're doing? We're opening the garage today. We're working with the garage open today, and I haven't done that in a while. Oh yeah, fresh air. I don't even have to turn the heater on today. There's a chance you've seen my last video and you've seen that I messed up this drip rail bad. I remember the drip rail gaps being kind of big, but I don't remember them being about 11/16 big. I think I messed up because I didn't get the roof to come over enough. Mistakes happen, and I'm not gonna be mad at this. At the end of the day, it's still gonna be a car that I basically built from scratch. I said this mistake wasn't a big deal, but honestly, it was. Every now and then, I forget you can't slack just because you feel like you've done enough. You see how wide this is? It's not supposed to be like that. And I got a lot of criticism because I said I was gonna leave it. And thankfully, you guys have convinced me that I cannot leave that. This is way too big, which is a pain in the rear end because it's a lot of work to fix that, but I have to do it. So let's start the video by fixing this drip rail and getting this gap way closer.
I came out here today with good energy, exactly what I needed to tackle this. But as the day went on, every tool I tried basically quit on me, and the stress started to creep in.
All right, I'm gonna switch to the cutoff wheel. This is probably a tool I haven't actually showed on YouTube, but it's a cutoff wheel and it's on an angle, so it's gonna allow me to kind of go nicely down this instead of like.
Yeah, that tool did not work whatsoever.
Okay, well that failed miserably. This is way underpowered for some reason, so I'm gonna switch to the big guns.
Even with the big tool, cutting that weld was a fight, and I started thinking, man, I really should have done this right the first time.
So I'm trying to pry it and separate it a little bit. This is gonna be hard. I messed up big time, but at least I'm fixing it, hopefully.
It's pretty obvious my optimism was sliding, and this is exactly why car builds get tough. What looks like a 20-second clip to you guys is really a couple hours of me sitting in the garage fighting one problem and getting nowhere.
But it's a lot harder than it looks. I really effed myself doing this, I'm not gonna lie, but hopefully I could fix it, but I feel like this is gonna be a couple days of work here.
Once I cut that weld and the roof settled on its own, I actually saw a little hope because it moved in just a little bit closer.
So I think the good news right now is that just by me cutting this incision along separating the drip rail from the roof skin already being welded in place everywhere else naturally came this way. So this gap went from 11/16 like in the last video, just from pushing this way to a 1/2 inch. Now we gotta get it even more than that, and I have ways I'm gonna do that, but first I gotta clean up all this existing weld because I can't lay that flat panel on weld or it's just gonna look even more dumb than it looks now. So I'm gonna grind all that weld off, and I think we're in good shape. A lot of you guys hated and criticized me for leaving that gap in the last video, and this is why I appreciate criticism because I probably would have never came into the garage and did this. But I can't be too happy yet because the job's not over.
My next move was inspired by Flint from Mr. Gone in 60. I drilled a hole in the drip rail and another in the roof skin purposely off-center from each other, and I tried prying the roof over with a screwdriver, but since the roof was already welded everywhere else, it wouldn't budge, so the screwdriver just ripped straight through the metal. And once I saw that didn't work, I tried taking out more welds that I previously put in to hopefully get that roof wanting to move over even more. However, I quickly learned that that process wasn't working for me in this moment, and I was starting to lose that hope that I once had when I first started today, after working on this for multiple hours.
Guys, I came in here with such high spirits today, and I cut this, and I'm just struggling to pull it over, and I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should delete the drip rail. I texted Mr. Gone in 60, he said cut it and move it over, but like it's Saturday and oh my god, I messed up big time and I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should have just left it, but this part of working on cars when you don't know anything. Like I'm inexperienced and I'm rushing and it's not good. Not rushing, but damn guys, I'm just so mad right now. I messed up with this big time. The problem is right now I can't get this roof to come over because it's already welded in place. And I just now have a bunch of cuts, a deformed drip rail. It's not good. We gotta figure this out.
There are moments in a build where pushing harder just makes everything worse. So I stepped back, I took the night, and came back with a clearer mind the next day.
It's a new day. Yesterday, I was actually probably the most stressed I've ever been working on this car because I messed up this drip rail. It's my inexperience and my excitement that messed me up here. I should have watched a video. I should have just known that was off before I welded it. Now I gotta deal with that. But I'm walking away from that because that's what a bunch of people said I should do. And I'm gonna work on something else. But I'm gonna take advantage of this beautiful freaking day. It's like 42 degrees out. It's amazing. And I'm gonna sandblast these door shells right here. If you saw last video, you know that I separated with my dad the door skin from the shell. And you know what that revealed? A lot of rust. I mean, look at how bad that is. That is insane. But actually, for 58 years, that's not too bad. And the sandblaster is gonna take care of all of this. Look how good she looks. Even though it's incomplete, it still looks pretty cool. I don't know if you guys know this, but before I actually was making this car a fastback, I bought everything to make it a coupe. I needed a sandblast, so I set up a whole sandblasting booth in my garage with tarps. Terrible idea, would never recommend that to anyone. But I bought this sandblaster. I take advantage of it a lot. We used it for a lot of things. And all you need is air and some sand from Tractor Supply, which I just went and picked up. And so I'm gonna show you how we sandblast and save a bunch of money by not bringing it somewhere. I'm gonna put this against the house. I'm so happy I got my new hose reel that doesn't leak and I could just pull it out all the way to the yard. Now, one thing that I recommend you guys, if you're having a car at home and you get into a pickle like I got myself into, you have to realize that mistakes are part of the process. And the best thing you can do if you're stuck and feeling bad about something you did is take a step back and reanalyze it. And thank you to Mr. Gone in 60, because I texted him. He was the first person I texted when I messed something up. You guys gotta check out his channel. He has a video basically on how to do everything, and his knowledge is incredible. And he gave me some advice on what I should do, and we're gonna work that out later. All right, we are all suited up, so let's get sandblasting. Now the sandblaster is very gimmicky. It barely works half the time, but when you do get it working, it does a nice job.
And let me tell you, as messy as this is, it's so nice to have a sandblaster in-house and be able to do this myself and save money.
I mean, already, look at this, guys. This is insane. That's 1967 metal right there. Now I'm gonna struggle and do this for a long time because it does take a while.
The sandblaster likes to clog up or run out of sand. Either way, it takes a while to get this done, especially being uncomfortable and you can't see half the time.
So I know it's not fully done, but major rust areas are fully gone. I mean, there's some pitting that, you know, you don't want to go too deep with the sandblaster because you don't want to cut a hole in the metal. Epoxy primer will cover the rest. But look at that, guys. What a difference that is. Let's get back to work.
And of course, as I'm about to do the second door, the hose decided to blow up and blow my ear out.
Damn, that really sucks. Here's my problem right here. You guys see this hole in the hose. Now, Anthony, I was thinking, like, why would that hole get there? And it's because when that's plugged in like this, when this is clamped around the little metal nozzle or whatever, and it's bending like this from me moving it, well, that bending with that high pressure caused that rip. Now I looked online for this hose, and I think the only one who sells somewhat similar is Eastwood, and it's like $50. You know, this hose is already pretty long, although it probably needs to be replaced. I just need to do a door. Can't trust these hoses. And just like that, we got a brand new hose. All right, guys, and I think that concludes the sandblasting. let that serve as a reminder to drain your compressors every time you use them. Something we just learned this year, and you can see how much rust build up. But look at this, guys. That is 2 brand new door skins from 1967. Obviously, it's hard to get all the areas with rust, like deep in here, and it's pretty much impossible to get the stuff that's, you know, welded together. So for that area, the next step I'm gonna do is treat it with this chemical called, well, OSPO. So basically, rust on door skins, rust in your car is just iron oxide, and OSPO is just phosphoric acid. And when I spray this OSPO on the rust, the phosphoric acid basically reacts with the rust. And then a chemical reaction happens, and the rust and this reacting together turns into iron phosphate. It basically just stops rust in its tracks. And it works. But the thing is, you gotta let it sit for like a day.
So I just misted over every single area on both doors, and that should be it.
I just wanted to show you guys, look at all of this pitting right here. And when I was sandblasting, I found even more. Do you guys see this down here? Look at the holes I found.
So we're gonna let that sit for a while, and then we're gonna move on to this cowl and dash. And the dash is something I'm super excited to put in because I got sent something from Autometer. It's basically the gauges, but it's a big screen and I like screen. But we gotta start welding in this cowl, which is gonna be a process. All right, guys, it's a few hours later, and I just wanted to show you how nice these look. That OSPO really took care of all of the rust, and it is still working, but look how shiny and clean these look. It looks like I put a clear coat on them. So we're gonna let those sit a little bit longer, probably 24 hours, and then I'm gonna put a coat of epoxy primer on it. But now I have to weld this cowl together eventually at some point. Use those man hands, boy. So this all has to be taken care of. Right now, it's all in weld-through primer. But we gotta put epoxy primer on because weld-through primer isn't gonna last the duration of its lifespan.
Now, just so Faith doesn't kill me, I put on some earbuds so her ears are protected. There was a lot of metal shavings over here from the months of working on this car, so I vacuumed it out and got a wire wheel on a grinder and almost gave myself plastic surgery.
That was scary as hell. That just almost killed me. All right, we're gonna consider that done. It's kind of hard to get in here, but that's okay. So we're gonna clean it out, put some acetone on it to get all that dirt and grime off. And then, Faith, do you know what's next after that?
Installing a flux capacitor.
The flux capacitor, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I found a task for you to do. You're gonna man the air gun. It's a pretty big tool. That's the air gun. Okay. Now you're gonna grab that hose up there. Okay, you gotta stop it on one of the clicks. Oh. Good, good. Okay, now grab that bottom piece. Yep, push. No, just push, just push.
This is a
Come on.
bad job.
Go.
I can't.
Go. Yes, you got it. Go on. Just push it. It's not that hard, I promise you. You didn't do it.
Pressurized?
Yes. Hey, push it in, bro.
Yes.
Use full strength. I heard your wrist crack. All right. Dude, you're making me think it's broke. This is how easy that was, by the way.
In my 67 Mustang.
Get that.
My hands are already dirty.
Okay. Now you're gonna spray all. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Now that I had some free labor, after we blew all the dust off with the air gun, we had to wipe everything down with some acetone. And this is just to get all the dirt and grime off, just so the epoxy primer I'm about to spray on bites a little more.
Done.
Got that one? Start wiping. Yeah.
Why? What is this doing?
We're degreasing it, get all the dirt off. Okay, so when I say epoxy primer, you guys are probably looking at me like, how are you doing epoxy primer out of a can? Well, this is Eastwood's epoxy primer. And basically, you have to crack the bottom and it mixes all together and then you shake it and it only lasts for a couple hours, but then you could spray it and it's 2 parts. And look at the man of the hour.
I'm gonna apply painter's tape in all the areas where the top cowl is gonna meet with the bottom cowl because I'm gonna put weld through primer in that area a little later instead of epoxy primer, and this will allow for a nice and clean weld later on. And then once I prepped everything and I'm about to spray the epoxy primer, it explodes on me. I have no clue why, but I fixed it and laid on the first coat, which went on really smooth. I choose to use epoxy primer here instead of a regular primer or Pour 15 because nothing bites into metal like epoxy primer and it will last a long time.
Now that Faith and I are poisoned by epoxy primer, Look how good it looks. That laid on really nice with just one coat. And I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm going to put seam sealer on around these duct vents here. And then after I put them around the duct vents, I'm gonna paint the whole thing black, and then I'll paint the top of the other one black. But the top of this cowl inside of here never really sees water. So I'm just gonna put black paint over it because it's already primed with the weld tool.
Now it will make sense why I laid that blue painter's tape earlier, because I rip it off and I spray weld through primer on all of the exposed metal areas. Now I can protect them and they'll be ready to weld. I did just want to take you back in time for 2 seconds. When I first got this car, the cowl was completely rusted out and I had no intention of ever replacing it.
But inside we cut a little piece to see. Look how rusty inside. So we're gonna drill.
But like I always say, when you come this far in a car build, that is something you cannot ignore. My dad and I have seen the worst of this cowl to the point it was completely rusted out. If it rained, water would seep all into the firewall section. On top of the endless rust, there was also rat nest and everything else living in there. So to see this cowl transform to an old rusty piece to a brand new piece, which we made an entire new lip for the firewall, was pretty cool. It's a step in the right direction and we are almost to the finish line.
So I know by now you guys are sick of seeing this back end because I have been struggling with it, but we got to move to the back side now. And I have to take these corner pieces back off to prep them to weld. I got to put the holes in them for the plug welds. So if I take these off though, I'm going to lose my distance that I spent a long time setting with the porta power. So Faith actually came up with a great idea to get it back.
I'm gonna weld this big rod in to hold the distance. I'm gonna weld this big rod in to hold the distance.
Faith didn't end up wanting to weld it, but I just tacked it on each side and now the trunk won't come together.
So now that this square tubing is welded in place, I should be able to take these off and my measurements should stay the same because this isn't going to want to compress inwards.
By the way, one lucky person is taking home this beautiful icon ratchet. Click the link in the description below, buy one new merch item from our Enzo line, and you'll be entered for a chance to win this beautiful gold icon ratchet signed by me, lightly used, and also a little kiss by me too. Better really fire, by the way, I saw that.